Wilson, we have a problem. Welcome back, guys. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and today we're going to be talking about Zach Wilson and the New York Jets' loss to the New England Patriots. Before we get into that, I'd ask that you subscribe, like, and comment. It does help out the channel, but we got to talk about it. I'm very disappointed in Zach Wilson. I'm very disappointed in a few things about Zach Wilson. And this is somebody coming into this year, I expected a big leap in year two. He suffered a knee injury in preseason, but I think there's more to it than just that. Wilson's actually been very consistent when you look at last year. He has the same exact completion percentage at 55.6 and a passer rating that's about 3 points higher than last year. He has 1,279 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. The point is, we're really looking at a Zach Wilson that hasn't gotten any better, despite the fact that Joe Douglas went out and added a brand new, dynamic, explosive weapon in Garrett Wilson, the rookie. I'm looking at this team right now, and if I'm a Jets fan, or if I'm even with the Jets organization, I'm taking a long look at whether or not it would be smart to move on from Wilson after this year. It's not to say that you have to take him off the roster, but as of right now, they have a Super Bowl defense and they have a lackluster offense that is predominantly because of the quarterback, Zach Wilson. Wilson was 9 of 22 for 77 yards against the New England Patriots. And while I understand he also ran for three, he ran 3 times for 26 yards. And I understand that Bill Belichick always has a game plan for the younger quarterbacks. And I also understand that he had 355 passing yards the last time he played New England. And the biggest issue was he turned the ball over. Let's be honest here, okay? When I said he needs to be a game manager, I wasn't saying he needs to have a 40.9 completion percentage. I wasn't saying he needs to be 9 of 22 from the field. Just because you didn't turn the ball over with an interception doesn't mean you played a good football game. This was a 10-3 game that was won on the last play of the game, essentially a punt return touchdown. And while that's an absolute backbreaker for the special teams unit, this, to me, falls on the offense. The offense was lackluster. The offense wasn't good enough. And at the end of the day, Zach Wilson was not good enough. He hasn't been good enough. We talk about the Bills game. Yeah, he had a 72% completion percentage. He had 154 yards, a touchdown. That's a 101.1 passer rating. He managed the game well. But here's the problem, okay? He's a 23-year-old quarterback who you got to be that guy, to take you over the hump. You got because he has the mobility. He has the big play nature going back to BYU. But did the Jets make a colossal mistake grabbing him? Justin Fields over in Chicago had about the same around the same stats most of the year. There's been games where he's had 9 completions for 7, out of 17 passes, but he runs the ball. He's dynamic. And that's the thing I think the Jets are missing. Wilson's mobile, but he's not a dynamic runner with the football. There are times where he'll take off and make a really nice read and notice, if I pick this up, this is a first down here. That's great. He did that once in this game. But as I've continued to watch Wilson, I've become a little bit cautious, and this game made me absolutely concerned. This is the second time you played this defense, and I understand there are injuries on the offensive line. I understand Corey Davis, your deep threat, is out. I understand Breece Hall is out, but there was no excuse to lose this game, and you couldn't lose this game. If you win this game, you're now 7-3, and you're atop of your division when no one gave you a chance. The fact of the matter is, we're starting to see that this is a Super Bowl caliber roster, and they are a quarterback away. Zach Wilson is not that quarterback. Now, could he be down the road? Maybe. But you have to look at maybe a guy like Derek Carr. You want to say Derek Carr couldn't do something with this offense? You want to say Derek Carr couldn't help this team out right now? I mean, right now, there has to be a serious discussion whether or not Joe Flacco is the right move for this offense. I mean, Flacco can manage the game. What Flacco can't do is run around and do the things off script that Zach Wilson is capable of doing that he simply hasn't done on the level that they want him to. What's not acceptable is the completion percentage is just as bad. Well, it's the same as last year, 55.6. It's not acceptable. He has 13 touchdowns and 16 interceptions in his career. He hasn't even thrown 5 touchdowns this season. And I understand he missed the first 3 games, but there's no excuse. None. Absolutely none. This is not the play calling. I don't know how, when people talk about the play calling with the Jets, I don't know what Mike LaFleur is supposed to even do. You have a quarterback that is so inaccurate. I don't even know. I'm at the point I don't even know what to do. Wilson has shown you flashes of brilliance. He has. But flashes aren't going to win you a Super Bowl. And this team right now is ready to compete, whether people want to believe it or not. That defense was stout yesterday. They've been stout all year. The pass rush has been great. This is a team that is ready to compete. This feels like the 2020 Rams roster when they have the best defense in the league, but their offense was very lackluster. And the Rams saw Jared Goff, even somebody who led them to a Super Bowl, somebody who had experience playing very well in this league in 2017 and 2018 and won big games. The Rams moved on and traded for Matthew Stafford. And you saw the Denver Broncos in kind of a similar situation as the Jets are right now with Zach Wilson. Drew Lock. Maybe they liked him a lot in the pre-draft process. Maybe he was their number 1 quarterback who they selected in the second round. But when push came to shove, they moved on from Drew Lock and they traded for Russell Wilson. That backfired. Russell Wilson has not been great this year. But the point still stands. There are a lot of quarterbacks around the league that are going to find new teams. That's just the way it is. The Stafford trade opened up Pandora's box. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets delve into that next, honestly, this offseason. Look, I want Wilson to succeed. I'm not a Wilson hater. I'm one that believed that he was going to have a monster season. And I stand by that. I will take all the crow. I'm not going to hide. You can look up my video on my projections. I had over 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. I know what I said because I thought it. I thought he was capable of it. I will say coming out of college, I wasn't as high on him as I was with Trey Lance. I wasn't as high on him as I was with Justin Fields. I liked him, but I wasn't as high on him, and I didn't really understand the elite hype. And I didn't get why he was picked so high. But here's the thing. I believed in the Jets. I believed what they saw in him, and I believed that they put enough around him to hide those deficiencies. And they have, and he has not hid them. They're very much there. They're very much evident. And in a game that was 3-3 down to the absolute end of the game, thinking that we're headed to overtime, they end up losing 10-3. Not acceptable. For a defense to go on the road, play New England, so very tough. That was the first loss on the road. And that's the thing that's kept Zach Wilson under center. He's won a lot of games this year. But is that him winning games? Or is that him starting and the Jets winning games despite the fact that he just hasn't been that great? Look, I was hoping for a better outcome. I would rather be making this video saying that they found their franchise quarterback. He is him. But unfortunately right now, and we haven't even gotten to the really big issue that I have with Wilson, his play is not good enough. The Jets have basically grown past a rebuild, which is great. It's a great thing, great news for the Jets. They are better than a rebuild. There is no excuse right now. Joe Douglas has set this team up. We saw they were the precursor to that earlier in the offseason when they have cut down day around the league and the Jets get 7 players plucked away on waivers. 7. The thing is, when you look at what Joe Douglas has done, he's built this team. You could say they obviously didn't run the ball well at all in addition to that because Wilson was the leading rusher with 26 yards. But let's keep this in mind. How are running backs going to run when no one respects Zach Wilson's arm? Think about it. If you don't respect a quarterback, you don't buy that he can make a throw deep down the field. You don't even buy that he can make a throw, period. And you think your pass rush can get to him quicker? Why not put 8, 9 guys in the box? That's the problem. When the quarterback struggles, everybody struggles. And that's where the Jets are at right now. This offense should not be as bad as it is. They should never score 3 points. You could argue, okay, Mike LaFleur could have found other ways to get guys the ball. Maybe. He's got his hands tied with Zach Wilson. And the problem is the Jets spent a lot on him getting that second overall pick. They can't just abandon ship, but I feel like they should, and I think they're going to consider it. Because I think Joe Douglas knows the team he put together, knows that they are as good as they should be, and at least as good as they should be, and they should be better. And watching yesterday's game was a painful reminder that this team is ahead of where Wilson is development-wise. So, unfortunately, until they make that play, and I think at this point, it might kill his confidence, but it makes more sense to play Joe Flacco. But that's my thoughts on that. Ending it, I will say this. Zach Wilson is doing him no favors in the locker room, and he's doing him no favors with the fans. There was no accountability taken after he quite honestly stagnated the entire offense. And I'm not going to say there wasn't a drop here and there because it's on it's on all 22, all 53, whatever. But Wilson did not play well. And Josh Allen of the Bills said he didn't play well. And that's a team that obviously they're one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl. Their kicker had 6 field goals and they won. And Josh Allen said he didn't play well. It was on him. He took the blame. You see guys around the league take the blame. Zach Wilson said you basically, no, you can't blame the offense. You can't blame. He didn't take any blame. I think what that does to the defense is I think there's going to be some animosity. And for a team that was 6-3 going into this week, they had not lost on the road. They're building something special on the defensive side, absolute ferociousness. They're playing through all these injuries. You got Sheldon Rankins out. On the offensive side, you got Breece Hall out. You got Corey Davis out, makeshift offensive line. I understand there are a lot of injuries on the offense. There's no excuse for Zach Wilson to be this bad. It is just, there's no excuse. This is not acceptable. And then to not have accountability, it comes off like you're the rich trust fund kid. And I think it rubs a lot of guys the wrong way. I've already seen articles that it has. There's a lot of, there's reports, apparently, according to SNY in the locker room that a lot of guys were not very cool with the way he acted and almost acted like nothing happened. And, it wasn't his problem. So I understand he's 23. I mean, when I was 23, I obviously wasn't as knowledgeable, as smart, maybe. The decision making wasn't quite as where it would be for me now at 27. So I get that, but you're an NFL quarterback. You represent an entire franchise. If you're not going to put the blame on your shoulders, that's you representing the entire franchise saying, it's not our problem. And honestly, it's a big middle finger to the defense because the defense could not have played better. And the special teams, okay, you give up the touchdown. Sorry, that was not acceptable. The offense and mainly Zach Wilson needs to be held accountable. Even Garrett Wilson said it was sorry. He used an expletive, but, I think we're just at the point, unfortunately, we have to have this uncomfortable discussion that Zach Wilson might not be that guy. They might have drafted, I don't even think he's Sam Darnold right now. And Sam Darnold was not anything to go crazy about as I wear a USC hoodie. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. But he showed more than Zach Wilson has shown. Again, I know the knee injury happened. I believe that kind of hurt him a little bit. But this is just not acceptable. And this kind of, when people were saying that Joe Flacco was outplaying him in camp, I didn't buy it. I'm starting to buy it. You watch Justin Fields this upcoming Sunday when the Jets play the Bears. It's not going to be pretty if the Jets lose, and it's because Wilson again, while Fields is on the other sideline, torching a Jets defense that is dominant. I'm not saying that'll happen, but just think about the optics. The Jets could have been 7-3 at the top of their division. They gave up 3 points on the defensive side for 4 quarters against the New England Patriots. And they're 6-4 in the bottom of the division now. And they're looking at a team in the Bears that seem rejuvenated. They're competitive. They got a good defense. And on top of that, they have a dynamic young quarterback who was drafted 9 picks after in Justin Fields. So Jets are going to get a up close and personal look at what could have been. Not to say that other teams didn't pass on him, but that's the unfortunate truth, folks. That's the unfortunate truth. You can say it's early, but the Jets aren't a rebuilding team. They're a team that's ready to compete. You can't waste these years. We've seen it with the Rams. They went out and they got Stafford. They won the Super Bowl. Teams followed that F them picks mentality. Joe Douglas has been the opposite. He's developed this team with picks, but you would argue he's hit on just about every pick now. Zach Wilson might be the only one he didn't. So that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe, and comment. We'll have more Jets content, moving forward. Again, sorry for the delay in that. It's been a lot this year. I've taken on roles that I didn't expect. Things came up during the season. Opportunities came up, and I took them. So back on this train. We're going to be covering this team fully from now on, as well as the Rams. So if you're a Rams fan or a Jets fan, thank you for watching. And be sure to keep yourself tuned, because we're going to keep coming out with more stuff. I hope Wilson figures it out. I'm not very confident after yesterday's performance, and I'm really not confident with his attitude. I think it's fair to criticize that. So you guys take care. I'll see you guys soon. Later, folks.